The smallest 4K action camera ever made. Is it a GoPro at a fraction of the original size, or real-life performance doesn't really match the marketing promises? Here's the Insta360 GO 3S, and it's about time to inspect. If you are looking for a content creator that uses on a regular basis an Insta360 GO camera, well, I guess you're looking at this guy. Great to meet you, by the way. I'm the Tech Mishka. On the channel, we inspect a lot of cool and interesting tech, and I use the Insta360 GO 2 very often when I review electric scooters or e-bikes and show you some various quite interesting angles. So that here is called the Insta360, let me take it out, GO 3S, the so much needed upgrade to 4K. And there are a lot of bold promises, as usual, coming from Insta360. So question is whether all these new features plus the advantages are more meaningful than the drawbacks, because online, through the forums, I have noticed certain disturbing complaints. It's time for a thorough inspection to figure out which are the strong, the weak sides, and whether Insta360 GO 3S is the right choice for you. The more features, as usual, are a good excuse to bump up the price, and now the regular combo starts at $399. Needless to say that it is smaller than the current GoPro and DJI action cam alternatives, which of course do not offer this modular and very tiny design. There are various types of combos and quite many accessories to choose from. I guess if we think of any competitors at all, the DJI Action 2 is the closest rival, but philosophy is a bit different over there. No difference with the GO 3S styling. 2 color options available, and I've decided to try out the black edition this time. Note that probably the white color is the smarter choice if you plan to primarily use the camera during the summer. There's a USB Type-C cable, some instructions and other leaflets. Here's the camera, a tiny piece which is the actual camera, and the display cage which acts as an additional battery, as well as makes the interaction a lot more efficient. Design is not too different even to the first iteration, but I need to underline the 3S happens to weigh about twice more than Generation 1. The lens area is redesigned, the rest of the housing keeps most of the regular Generation 3 styling and dimensions, and before we dive deeper with the footage and performance analysis, let's briefly cover the specs. Likely, Insta360 keep the very same kind of system on a chip inside. There's a new lens setup, maximum resolution is up to 4K 30p, maximum frame rate goes up to 200 frames per second in 1080p though. There's a 310 mAh battery good for close to 40 minutes of filming in Full HD. There still is the Action Pod option. A new addition is the support for Apple Find My network. The camera is of course supporting Wi-Fi and weighs around 39 grams. Tech specs. So many of them. I guess some of these values are pretty hard to understand. I believe it's fairly easy to talk about the battery life, because obviously now it is a bit worse than Insta360 GO 3, and apparently this kind of camera, this is the concept, means that it has an expiration date because the battery is inbuilt, non-removable, non-replaceable, and it's stated I use the GO 2 on a regular basis and it started to deteriorate probably a couple of years ago. I think the condition of the case is now a bit worse than the camera itself, but I can still record about 10 minutes worth of footage. The GO 3 has a larger battery, and apparently here we have the very same battery capacity. However, battery life is about 20%, okay, 10% worse as compared to the preceding generation, which makes me believe that they reused the Umbrella H22 system on a chip, because if there was a newer SoC, it was about to be made on a thinner process, that's better battery life, which is not the case over here. And maybe they still rely on the very same 4K IMX577 image sensor, because I don't see a reason for them to swap it, because it still can deliver 4K, now finally achieved through different optics, because the optics, yeah, it's brand new. Apparently this area here is a bit bigger, and the field of view is slightly narrower, and I'm not really sure this is necessarily a good thing, but it delivers significantly sharper, better looking footage. Or not, we're going to talk about it in just a few moments. Well, if you already have the GO 3, you can just swap the camera because the pod is pretty much the same thing, and overall the combo looks quite reliable, and I feel that the people who want to go for the Go series, they would value three major components. That would be the lightweight construction and of course the small scale, the quite easily understandable user interface, and now supposedly the better overall image quality. So are these three statements correct or not? Footage time. There's obviously a notable improvement over the image quality from the past generation. Better and more accurate colors, greater sharpness. It really feels as if Insta360 did it right with the 3S. Image stabilization works in a similar fashion to the former generations, maybe a bit less capable given the narrower field of view. True that, the FOV is now around 107 degrees as opposed to 117 and appears to be far away from DJI Osmo's Action 455 degrees. Personally, I consider this to be a downside, although if you use the new Mega View, things are close to really good. It gives a more natural look with less distortion and straighter, cleaner edges. We have the very same Mega View mode in single lens mode of the X4. The low light performance tanks everything good that I've said so far. I'm afraid that conditions different to sunny days will convert into rather disappointing footage. It's not a typical use case for action cameras because they're using quite small image sensors, thus limited amounts of light reaching each individual pixel. If you circle through the menus, you're going to discover quite many great features: slow motion, time shift, time lapse, the free frame video, the regular photo and video modes, and so on. If you hear about free frame for the first time, it's a kind of a video that you can record and then you can post-process using the smartphone app or the PC software. Benefit is that the chip is going to record the gyroscopic data, meaning that you can stabilize in post, and you can also apply some additional refinements such as a field of view adjustment, color toning, or the motion ND feature. Basically, a lot more options as opposed to having the recording done in a regular video format such as what GoPro and other cameras are doing. The slightly older Go 2 used to label this as Pro Mode. Speaking of pro-grade features, the Go 3S is not much different than the best configs provided by the closest rivals, and you can indeed count on good features such as shutter speed control, ISO adjustments, color modes, and so on. HDR is possible, only for photos though. I suspect that the hardware can do it for videos as well, but maybe not enabled due to thermal constraints. Supposedly, the lack of 60 FPS in 2.7K resolution has a similar excuse. But the 1080p slow motion is pretty remarkable and retains most of the dynamic range achievable in slower frame rates. If you care about microphone quality, here's your usual kind of sample. Keep in mind the Go 3S doesn't really support any external microphone option, and that's the kind of quality to be expected from the internal setup. Image stabilization, as mentioned, is really good. There are 3 in-camera modes to be used with regular video recordings, and as already mentioned, you can do the stabilization in post and adapt it with the currently available options. Just remember, it has to be in free frame mode. As usual for all the Insta360 made models, one of the most powerful ways to review, organize and edit your footage is the smartphone app. I feel that Insta360 lead the show by far in terms of software, and this app happens to be the ultimate creative multimedia hub. For some creators, this might be the only go-to solution for editing videos. The features are so many that I could do a separate video about showcasing them all, and if you feel that this is necessary, let me know in the comments below. To the drawbacks list, I'm gonna note down the increased weight compared to the previous generations, the lack of external microphone support, the lack of free-frame options that were present with the older Go 2 and Go 3 generations, the supposedly outdated system on a chip, the lack of streaming function, the narrower field of view, and the decreased battery life as compared to the regular Go 3. Bottom line, it feels like Insta360 once again delivered an excellent, tiny, quite capable action camera. But probably this next thought is gonna be irritating for some people. I think that for only 17 grams more, you can buy yourself an action camera supporting 4K up to 120 frames per second, comes with a display with a bit more filming features, and the price is about twice less than what Insta360 make you pay for this combo. And apparently I'm referring to the DJI Osmo Action Generation 2, which means that probably if you're looking for a tiny 4K action camera, this only is the best one when it comes to weight below 40 grams. If we think about a weight below 60 grams, it's the second best, and so on and so forth. Well, it makes me always go back to this slogan, tiny but mighty. And yeah, I believe that each and every generation that comes from now on is supposed to be obviously better in terms of image quality, but also tinier than the predecessing units, and not the other way around. So that's my take on the Insta360 GO 3S. Very good performer. However, if you already have the GO 3, even the GO 2, I still don't find enough reasons to tell you this is a great upgrade unless you need the 4K resolution. If you're coming from GO Generation 1 or you're looking for the tiniest possible 4K action camera, yes, this is the logical choice, but again, think about whether these 17 grams worth of difference are really making you believe you should vote in favor of the GO 3S. In case you have questions or you would like to share about your opinion and experience with the series, comments are down below the video. If you want to order one of these, check the video description for more information. And in case you want to support me in my journey to inspect more and cool tech, you can start by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, or becoming a channel member. And thank you very much for watching this episode. A big thanks to everybody who has contributed to the research around this video. Take a good care of yourself, and I guess I'll see you soon. Bye.